What's up, Knicks fans? We are so excited to announce that this summer, Fanatics Fest is returning to New York City, taking over the Javits Center from Thursday, July 16th to Sunday, July 19th. Meet your favorite athletes from every major league, including current New York Knicks like Josh Hart, Jaylen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Knicks legend Patrick Ewing. Catch live podcasts and panels featuring some of the biggest names in sports while experiencing interactive activations from top leagues and brands. You can grab exclusive merch and discover one-of-a-kind memorabilia from sports and entertainment. Buy, sell, and trade collectibles with hundreds of top dealers. Connect with fans around the world who share your passion for sports. Tickets are on sale now at fanaticsfest.com. And when you use promo code KnicksFilm10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off your purchase. It's an extra day of the world's #1 sports fan festival coming together under one roof, and you don't want to miss it.
All right. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. Jordan Clarkson in for defensive purposes. Not a sentence that I thought I was going to be saying or hearing at any point this year, but here we are. That was a heck of a little win by the Knicks. Final score 121-116 over the New Orleans Pelicans. It feels like with this game, the winning streak suddenly has a little bit of legitimacy to it. Not that there weren't some tough outings there in those first six, but as Mike Breen reminded you at the tail end of the broadcast, this is a Pelicans team that, despite their record, has been playing very good basketball for really more than 2 months. I had it in the newsletter today. I'll pull it up because, of course, I don't remember what the hell I wrote. But over their last 10 before this game, coming into this, they were 8th in the NBA in net rating, 15-11 in their last 26 games, some quality wins. And then if you actually go looking through their schedule, if you got nothing better to do, you could see that even the losses that they've had recently have been like close losses against some quality teams. So right off the bat, credit to the Pelicans. That's a team that's playing certainly better than some teams that are going to wind up in the play-in at the very least. And obviously they've changed their coach and they've gotten some of their guys back healthy. So there's a lot of reasons for it, but we'll leave that to the Pelicans post-game shows, all of them that are surely out there. But this was a quality basketball game. And, I'm sure there's going to be a temptation to look at this one and say, well, why are we getting worked up about a 5-point win over a team that is now 23 games under 500, at home when we're supposed to be, gearing up for the playoffs. And I hear that. And that's actually kind of where I want to start, because I think, I was trying to think of the comp, because there aren't a lot of teams out there that play like the Pelicans do, because they basically, without starting a true center, their tallest player is Zion in the starting five. They are conceding certain things. They're conceding traditional rim protection. They are conceding, rebounding to some degree, but they're also gaining a lot. They're gaining a lot of switchability, obviously, on the defensive end. And we saw that, come into play at times tonight, although this is not a strong defensive team. And I think, you saw that with how well the Knicks did on offense. But more than that, and this is kind of where I really want to start, they offer a really unique challenge on offense. And I don't think that there is, in terms of when you have to guard their offense. And while I don't think that there is an exact comp in the Eastern Conference, I do think that this was good practice for a potential first-round matchup. And again, I don't think that they're going to wind up seeing this team in the first round, but you never know, especially if they keep winning like they have been. I think this would be good practice for like a matchup against Charlotte, where you're accepting coming into the series that there's going to be a lot of games on the 120s and 130s, and you're basically just going to need to outscore the opponent because they have a lot of different ways that they could beat you, again, when they have the ball. And, the Knicks, for as good as they have been defensively, I thought you saw, I don't want to say that like the Pelicans kind of exposed their defense a little bit, but you saw Mike Brown pivot to something in a big spot and stick with it for a longer period of time than he has done in any game this season. And that is going without a center. Of course, I didn't write down the timestamp of when he pulled Mitch, but pulled Mitch, with like, felt like there were 4 or 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And at first it was Brunson with the 3 starting wings. At first it was Mo. That lasted a couple of possessions. And then he brought Jordan Clarkson in to get an extra ball handler, an extra shooter, an extra, guy who you could trust with the late game offense, guy who put the ball on the floor, get into the teeth of a defense. And I got to say, like, one, it worked because I think they were not able to load up on Brunson as much as they maybe were in the brief stint, before they took Mo out. But also it was just, I thought, and I'm not saying it was good or bad. It was just a fascinating admission from Mike Brown of like, I think this is the best. This gives us the best chance to win the basketball game at this exact moment. And hold on, I'm looking right now. So Mitch, that was with 5:09 left, and the Knicks up by 6 points. So, and I'm not saying even that the defense necessarily improved because Fears gouged them a few more times after that substitution. But it was just interesting. It was one of those things that I think you want to tuck away and wonder, okay, is there going to be a series where he's going to have to pull out, a look like that or an alignment like that? And maybe, I don't know if it's going to be Clarkson. I don't know is when Deuce is back, and it's a lot of different considerations. But I thought that was a really interesting move, and I thought it was good experience for the Knicks to get. And, a lot of people have characterized this season for the Knicks and for Mike Brown in particular as a season of gathering evidence. You gained a little bit more evidence tonight. The other thing I'll just say about the Pelicans in this game is, 116 points, probably more points than you'd ideally like to give up against a team that has 25 wins. They did shoot 44% from deep, and like some of their guys just were absolutely unconscious from the field. Like Jeremiah Fears, I'm very happy that dude is in the Western Conference and not in the East, because happy he only gets to come to MSG once a year. But, he was, he finished 9 of 12. Herb Jones, who is not exactly an offensive force, and obviously, Mike and Clyde were talking about him all night. He finishes with 13 points on 6 of 8 shooting, and then like, it's funny, Trey Murphy III, who is in a lot of ways, their most threatening offensive player, obviously him or Zion, only went 4 of 12, and it feels like he was like 7 of 12. So they actually probably got a little bit fortunate there, but like Madovic was on fire. So, that's a really good offensive team, and they were hitting their shots. So give credit where credit is due. I did not think the Knicks played poor defense tonight. I thought the effort was there. Again, I thought it was just an interesting challenge from a matchup standpoint. And I think the Knicks did pretty well to adjust to what the Pels threw at them. Offensively, even though they scored 121 points, I think if you are going to levy any criticisms, it could be on the fact that the Knicks were not able to exploit the Pelicans defense enough. And obviously here is where we will lean into talking about some individual players, starting with Jaylen Brunson. I was going to start with Mitch. We're going to get to Mitch very shortly because Mitch was my player of the game until midway through the fourth quarter. Absolutely loved the game that Mitchell Robinson had, and don't think they win this game if he isn't playing in it. But we got to start with JB. And I said in the Rockets post game following my Detroit crash out, first words out of my mouth were, "You're welcome." I'm going to dip into that pool one more time, and I will say once again, you're welcome. For anybody who missed it, I wrote an extensive Knicks Film School newsletter today on how the Eastern Conference kind of race to the finish line and perhaps the Eastern Conference playoffs may come down to two players who had one of the most memorable games that any of us have ever seen in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals last year. But talk about Jaylen Brunson and Jason Tatum, but also talk about how, both guys have had an interesting year. Obviously, Tatum coming back recently, getting used to being back. The Celtics getting used to him being back. Did they make the right move having him back? So on and so forth. And then Jaylen Brunson, who, I took a look and there was a graph going around on Twitter a couple of days ago about how he has been in terms of offensive performance, been one of the top players to decline over the course of this year. And I think there's different theories to it. I think there's theories about he's, getting more used to being a distributor in Mike Brown's offense. One of my theories, and I'm not the first person to say this, is that he didn't fully recover from the ankle injury that saw him miss essentially 3 games because he left the Kings game early. DJ has said, for a while now, the increased effort that he has been giving on the defensive end maybe is impacting his ability to be an efficient scorer. But whatever you want to say, for over 2 months, the numbers just have not been good. 23 points on not very efficient shooting. Well, tonight, Jaylen Brunson calmed a lot of fears, to the extent that there were any fears from idiots like me, because he goes out there, scores 15 points in the fourth quarter, at one point 10 straight fourth quarter points, carries the team home like we have seen him carry the team home on so many occasions. Vintage Brunson, if you will, with 32 points on 19 shots. And I'll let me just say this also. I know there was a stretch in the beginning of the third quarter where he missed his first 5 shots. And I think Breen even said on the broadcast, he didn't blame Brunson for it, but, he noted, as the Knicks were kind of struggling offensively at the start of the third quarter, the ball was moving so well in the first half, as if to say it's not moving quite as well in the second half. I still I loved Brunson's process in the first half. I didn't even mind it too much in the third quarter because I thought there were good shots, and I thought that the way that, here's the thing that's always going to be tricky with Brunson. So much of it depends on how the defense is playing him, because, if they're going to guard him one-on-one, then his instinct is going to be, all right, well, then that's how I need to punish them. I need to make them show me a second body, because that's how I get the dominoes falling. So how do I do that? Well, I gotta take tough shots. And I think it's, it's always going to be a challenge for him to kind of toe that line between, all right, should I get off the ball fast and trust the offense, or should I try to get them to commit a second defender? I didn't mind how he was playing offense. I know the Pels closed the gap during that stretch, but I still thought he was good. I just thought he had a really good game. And, look, if he could get going here in the last now 9 games leading into the playoffs, I think that would be as important as anything, for this Knicks team's playoff chances. All right, now that we got Brunson out of the way, let's gush about Mitch a little bit. I'll read his final stat line: 21 minutes, 11 points, and 8 rebounds. Of course, 4 on the offensive glass, 1 steal, 2 blocks. I just thought Mitch was everywhere. We're getting close now to the end of the season, and obviously, the playoffs will define this team. They will define the players on this team, and who we will, remember, so to speak, from this 25-26 season. It's starting to feel for me like if I'm going to remember one guy from this regular season, I think it might be Mitchell Robinson. When I think back in years from now of the 2025-26 season, I think Mitch might be the first guy, the regular season. I think Mitch might be the first guy that comes to mind, because, it started out, I was making fun of the load management plan or injury management plan, or whatever the hell they called it. And because I thought they were kind of playing hide the salami there. And then he gets on the court after missing the first, 4 games. And other than sitting out back-to-backs, there's only been 2 other games, it was right around New Year's, that he has sat out all year that weren't a direct reason of back-to-backs. And has it been perfect? Has it been a perfect season for Mitch? No. Even if he did meet the criteria, I don't think he would make all defense. I don't think he's been consistent enough to make all defense. But we have seen enough flashes of peak Mitchell Robinson defensively. And again, this goes hand in hand with what I started talking about at the top of the show, which is that I thought Mike Brown's, again, I'm not saying it was the wrong decision, the right decision, anything, just it was an interesting decision to go without a center, and in particular Mitch, because I thought Mitchell Robinson was having a strong defensive game, but that was just a sign of respect, I think, to the Pelicans putting 5 guys on the floor could all put the ball on the court and attack a closeout and the whole thing. But even as I say that, the last play that Mitch made in this game before he was taken out, I'm pretty sure it was the last play, or maybe the second to last play, came out of defensive possession. It was right after he dove on the floor to get the Knicks an extra possession, which of course they didn't take advantage of. And I think there was a turnover on the ensuing inbound or something, or a missed shot, whatever it was. And the Pelicans, as they did the entire night, did not love the Knicks transition defense tonight. I should say that was the one aspect of their defense that I think, was bothersome. 19 fast break points for the Pelicans. That's too many. And then 18 points off turnovers for the Pelicans. That's too many. Anyway, but Mitchell Robinson was there matched up on Trey Murphy III, who, limitless range, could put the ball on the court, like really one of the more talented offensive players in basketball. And Mitch stuck with him. Like he guarded up on him, did not let him get the 3. But then when Murphy tried to put the ball on the floor, Mitch stood his ground, and I think he forced the pass. And I was like, man, that's just absolute peak Mitchell Robinson. And there were a lot of games or a lot of moments from tonight that I thought we saw peak Mitchell Robinson. So great Mitchell Robinson game all around. And then I guess the third guy that, this is becoming a nightly thing is Jordan Clarkson. And again, Jaylen Brunson hits 2 free throws there at the end of the game. In between the first and second free throw, he takes out Karl-Anthony Towns, who was in there for the offensive possession, and he puts in Clarkson, not Jose Alvarado, not Jeremy Sohan, who they traded for like whatever 3 weeks ago. For you want to talk about a guy who is on an NBA roster, quote unquote, for defensive purposes. Jeremy Sohan is your clearest example. No, not Sohan, not Alvarado, not Mohamed Diawara. Jordan Clarkson in there for defensive purposes on that kind of final possession that the Pelicans had. And again, he can't even blame Mike Brown, because this guy has been defending since he came back into the rotation like a dude who was playing for his NBA livelihood. And I was texting, and hopefully he doesn't mind me. I told him I was going to steal it. So I don't care that I'm going to blow up his spot. But I was texting with Fred earlier, and we were talking about how, this level, the play from Clarkson recently, it's not just that the shots are going down. And yes, more shots are going down than when he was in the rotation earlier in the year. He has materially changed how he is playing. And I think part of it is an effort thing. Part of it is an intentionality thing in terms of how he is operating on offense. And Fred used the term that I'm going to steal. It's organic basketball, where, yeah, there are times where Clarkson's going to go one-on-one, but it's every time he does it now, it's like, oh yeah, that's the right basketball play in that scenario. And that's the offensive end. On the defensive end, the guy's killing it. The guy's absolutely killing it. He's leaving it all out there on the court. And Jose Alvarado tonight played 9 minutes. Clarkson played 21. And if you're handicapping the Knicks playoff rotation, I kind of teased it, a couple days ago. I think actually I might have teased it during the previous post game, that I thought Deuce would be making it back this week. And I particularly had my eye on the Charlotte game. I don't know if he's going to play in 2 nights. We'll see. But, Shamit's obviously still out, but also I think it was Bondi tweeted that, or maybe it was Popper, that Shamit is not going to be out for very long. So, this is going to be real interesting here. And if you're handicapping, like, who's getting minutes, you got Deuce coming off of injury. You got Shamit coming off of injury. You got Clarkson playing like this. You got Jose kind of underwhelming. I guess I'll still put Deuce number 1 as the guy who's going to get the most minutes out of that group because he's the best player, clearly. But, man, like, Shamit's been awesome this year. Clarkson's been indispensable for 3 weeks now, or whatever it is, 2-3 weeks. So, I don't know. Another great game from Clarkson. Can't say enough about him. I thought mostly everybody had a good game tonight. Like the guy I wanted to shout out was Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges feels like he's been getting so much shit. Some of it from me, some of it earned. Certainly not all of it earned. I thought Mikal Bridges had a really nice game tonight. I know, and I've gotten in the habit of saying this. Like, Mikal is really not that different from Cat in that the stuff that does not go well tends to get an inordinate amount of attention, and in its own way, it is kind of loud. So, like, yeah, there was an instance or two where he was tasked with slowing down Fears and couldn't really do so. Well, guess what? Not a lot of guys in the league can slow down Jeremiah Fears when he's having a night like that. But I thought Mikal played a really nice game. I liked what I saw from him tonight, kind of more than what I've seen from him in a while. OG, I bet terrible job by me that I'm talking for over 20 minutes, and I did not mention OG Anunoby is one of, I don't know, how many guys in the league are going to get a steal and a block on Zion in the same game? Is there another guy in the league who's going to get a steal and a block on Zion in the same game? Probably not. So OG is cementing certainly his all defense case, maybe his first team all defense case. His early threes were huge, as were Mikal's early threes. Finished with 21 points. OG played a really nice game. Hart, not so good. I thought Hart had a rough night, but also did some nice things. So I'm not going to sit here and kill Josh Hart. Mohamed Diawara had the one nice move. That was good to see. And then let's end with Cat. Why not? Because Cat, obviously his dad, some health stuff going on. So we hope he is okay. And then earlier today was presented by Leon Rose and Worldwide West with, I think it's the Community Assist Award for the NBA. And look, the Cat has been this level of human for pretty much his whole career. And you can't ever question that part of him. So absolute honor. And, while I thought Cat had an uneven game at times, I thought overall, like, again, I like where this Cat season is heading. I like where it's been. I like where it's heading coming into the break. I thought he picked his spots well. I know, he took a couple quick threes. I never mind those. I really don't. He was 2 of 6 on the night. Had a couple misses at or near the rim that I have confidence in him shooting. There were a couple of possessions there. I think it was in the top of the second quarter where his individual offense got a little gnarly. But I thought he had a nice game. And I just wanted to end by congratulating him on a very, very significant achievement. And it was a good win. It was a good win for the Knicks. Overcame a stretch where they scored 2 points in 4.5 minutes at the start of the second quarter because the offense kind of slowed down without Brunson in there. Again, what does that say about Alvarado's security in terms of his place in the rotation? But lots of good stuff. I think lots of stuff to be positive about if you're a fan. Not a perfect night. Could have defended a little bit better. Could have taken care of the ball a little bit better. But overall, good night for the Knicks. So there we go. Let us move on to our best bets of the evening, where we are back trending in the right. Wait a minute. No, this is not right. That was not my pick. We have the wrong pick up there for that. I took Cat, and I know I took Cat because I was tracking it all night. It's okay. We could just say what the best bets are. So our best bets of the evening, of course, for Fanatics Sportsbook. Jeff took Mikal Bridges over or at least 13 points. Andrew was Ye of little faith. Jeff has more faith in Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges went for 14 points, so good job, Jeff. I took Karl Anthony Towns over 12.5 rebounds, and it's funny because I was kicking myself early on because Cal was having a little bit of a struggle, early, and Mitch was in, and he was gobbling up rebounds. I'm like, man, because I was deciding between Cat rebounds or Mitch rebounds. I knew we wanted one of them, and I ultimately went with Cat. Cat ends up with 14 rebounds, and despite the fact that I thought Mitch was phenomenal on the glass, ended up with 8, and I think his over-under was 8.5. So I'm very proud of myself that I went with Cat. And the one, there it is. Okay, and then the one that we did not get, unfortunately, Mensa had faith in Alvarado having a big game in his, not return game because he didn't go back to New Orleans, but first time playing his old team, took Alvarado's points. Alvarado responded with a goose egg, but hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And more importantly, don't forget, I think we've been doing this contest now for a week and a half or so where we're giving out $100 in fan cash to one lucky person who bets at least $10 on our best bets parlay, which you can find in the Fanatics Sportsbook app. So again, someone out there who bet at least $10 on our parlay tonight, even though you didn't win because Jose Alvarado apparently does not really value his spot in the rotation, someone's going to be a big winner of $100 in fan cash. And by the way, again, I think we've given out at this point $500 or $600 in fan cash. If you're one of the people who have won this, tweet at us at Knicks Film School SKOOL. You could tweet at me at JC Macri NBA. We want to hear from you, mostly because I want to see what you're buying with your fan cash, and make sure you're not buying any Celtics gear, Pacers gear, whatever else. What would be the most offensive thing a Knicks fan could buy with some Fanatics fan cash? I don't even know. Probably Celtics gear, I think, would be the worst. I think that would be the. I was thinking Miami, but the Vice jerseys are pretty nice. No, so let's go Celtics because it's puke green, it's awful green, and then it's the Celtics. So yeah, don't buy any Celtics gear with your fan cash. But if you did win the fan cash, tweet at us and let us know that you won. All right, those are our best bets presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. Kev says a Reggie Miller jersey. Yes, that is absolutely, or any piece of Reggie Miller memorabilia is the correct answer. Followed by anything Celtics. Okay, let's get to Super Chats. And we will talk about this game. 2011 E. Fernandez starts us off. JB spin to step back 3 makes me feel he is healthy. He hit 2 threes. They were both early in the game. I know the one you're talking about. I had the same exact thought. I'm like, it feels like we have not seen that in a while. And to see it there, and if I recall correctly, both of the threes came very close in time to each other. And it was just good to see him feel it, in addition, obviously, to his fourth quarter. Seems fine to me. I know there was some conversation about should JB get some time off here? Should he sit out a game or two down the stretch? One, it's not in his DNA, and 2, it seems pretty clear that the Knicks are going to try to win as many games as they can. So thanks for starting us off, E. Fernandez. Next up, Hush. What's going on, Hush? How you doing? What I find odd on Brunson's struggles, all of his shots at the rim are either short or just off the mark. Is he not getting enough lift? Just odd. I mean, his shots at or near the rim seemed pretty good down the stretch. I know you're talking about more shots in close range as opposed to the mid-rangers. I know most of his fourth quarter buckets were of the mid-range variety. I don't know what it is. But I trust him to continue to work out the kinks. You make me. So I don't know if this is going to be perfectly indicative because a lot of those shots are like not true restricted area shots. They are more short, mid-range, floater range, if you will, shots. So this year, he's 62% at the rim. Last year, he was 64%. But his first 2 years in New York were 60% and 60%. So 62% is fine. A little below average, but again, he's short. The number that you find concerning, last 2 years, floater range, both 52%. This year, 47%. That's a big drop. That's a big drop. And, but again, tonight I thought some better stuff from floater range. And then the only other thing I'll say, which is interesting, he's having his best season of his career by far from on long twos. And I wonder if part of it is he has felt the need to resort to longer twos as opposed to shorter twos. But the interesting thing, he's 52% on long twos, which is outstanding. Up from 44% last year. He has already taken, according to Cleaning the Glass, 31 more long twos than last year. And it's only a 1-game difference in terms of the sample size here. So interesting. Just something to think about, monitor moving forward. Thanks, Hush. Chris Dayton, my guy, what's going on? I believe you may be going to a certain basketball game in the city of Charlotte in a couple days. Have fun with that one. This is the best they've looked in a while, and it's against a real team. This game impressed me so much more than any of the 6 wins during the winning streak before this. I thought they played really good ball tonight. Fingers crossed we see Miles in Charlotte. Yeah, that would be nice. Again, I hope so. For your sake and for Knicks fans, the sake of Knicks fans everywhere. They've done a really nice job, and credit to Clarkson, credit to Shamet, credit to, I know Alvarado hasn't been great, but credit to all these guys. They've picked up the slack with Deuce out, but he's such a valuable part of their team, and I just can't wait to see him back. So, yeah, fingers crossed on that one. Tiny Cities Made. That is a name. That is a name. Alvarado minutes are not working. No revenge game. Yeah. So let me look up. So tonight he was, and again, stats are, impact metrics in terms of like on-offs and stuff. Like, I would say the sample size for Alvarado is still kind of small. He was a -11 in 9 minutes tonight. Now, obviously, that's because they couldn't score when he was in the game at the start of the second quarter. That's not all on him, but part of his job is to run the second unit offense. And I did not think that he did an effective job of that tonight. And I don't necessarily think he's done the most effective job of that recently. I will say that in terms of the on-offs with the Knicks, I don't think this is inclusive of tonight. So it's just interesting. He's a plus 12.6, which is great. But that was like a plus 18 point something. I want to say like a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks. But like recently, it was like a plus 18 point something. So his on-off impact has continued to go down. The other part that's interesting, and again, this is a tiny sample size. We're talking, a little over 300 minutes with the Knicks. Most of the impact has been on the positive end, has been on the offense. And he plays all of his minutes with Karl-Anthony Towns. And since Alvarado has been here, Karl-Anthony Towns has been one of the, 5 to 10 most best offensive players in basketball. So I don't even really know how much credit we give Alvarado for the really positive plus minus in terms of most of it being on the offensive end. Defensively, they're a little bit better with him. But I don't know. Watching him, do you feel like he's been a real positive on the defensive end? I think he's been okay. But like when you look at what Clarkson's given them on both ends, obviously at this point, I don't think. Certainly Alvarado's defense is not enough to keep him on the court. So again, gonna be very interesting to see what Mike Brown decides to do here, heading into the playoffs. Thanks, Tiny Cities Made. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Sheesh, that Fears kid gave us the business. You know, the shame of the Pelicans, I could just stop there. The shame of the Pelicans is that they had this draft where they took these two kids in Fears and Queen. And I know Queen's not starting anymore. And like, there's going to be questions about how well a team is going to be able to defend if he's out there, to say nothing of like the fit questions with him and Zion and so on and so forth. But like, they drafted these really good two rookies, and Fears looks like he's going to be a guy, like a real guy in the league. Certainly if he could shoot it, he's going to be a real guy. And all anybody could talk about was the trade that they made, and justifiably so, because the trade was insane, to give up that pick. And yet, as of now, it's shaping up to be like the 10th pick in the draft, but even so, to move up however many spots they moved up to give up the 10th pick in what should be a really good draft. I don't know. Look, maybe it winds up being worth it. They took Fears with the earlier pick, I should note, not the pick that they traded away this year's first to get. But he's good, man. Fears is good, and like I would be more bullish on the future of the Pelicans because of all the talent they have. But guess what? They've had all kinds of talent in their organization off and on for most of their existence. And it is, if not the worst run organization in the league, it's bottom three. And there's just very little reason to be hopeful that they're ever going to be able to get out of their own way, even though they have assembled a really nice, interesting core. And I think Borrego's a really good coach. Obviously, the Knicks wanted him as their offensive assistant. So that it was interesting matchup from that perspective tonight also. So anyway, yeah. Thanks, Dan. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Very entertaining game. Yeah. Would we call this a playoff atmosphere? Not quite. I don't think anybody they're going to face, even if they face Charlotte, I don't think anyone in the playoffs they're going to face is going to, give them as much leeway on defense as the Pels gave them tonight, which, is, if you want to say it's, that a little worrisome that they only scored 121 points. This Knicks team is just so freaking talented. They should have scored more, but it was a good challenge. It was a good game. Anyway. Would not be shocked if the Pels were fighting for a 4 seed next year. Wow, that's aggressive. How about fighting for play-in? I'll say fighting for play-in, if only because you look at the West right now. None of the top 6 are going anywhere. I think Phoenix is pretty legit. The Clippers, who knows what's going to happen with them, but they're going to be good. Portland's on the come up. The Warriors, who knows? Maybe the Warriors get LeBron James, make one last run. Dallas will be better next year. Utah just traded away their first round pick to get Jaren Jackson Jr. I think it's unprotected too. So I think Utah is going to be a better team next year. Dallas should be, Dallas is going to have Kyrie and whatever they get with their pick. So other than Sacramento and probably Memphis, the West is just going to be a bloodbath again. And it feels like the Pelicans are just kind of going to be in a similar situation that you figured they were going to be in this year, which is fighting for the play-in. But we'll see. Entertaining team. Anyway, Clarkson and Mitch are moving so much more quickly and controlled lately. Love it. Dia Wawa. Huck Sporty. Where's Dia Wawa? Is that Wawa the deli or gas station in Jersey? Anyway. Yeah, I love how Clarkson and Mitch are moving. And I love the connection those guys have had, I think, on the offensive end as well. What was the best offensive possession of the night? Yes, JB to OG to Jordan Clarkson, who then tipped it to Mitch for the lob. Awesome play. Just good. Look, Clarkson is just a really good, smart offensive player. And like he's going to play in the playoffs. Like, somehow, some way, he's going to play in the playoffs. You know. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate you, man. Hush with another one. Thank you, NBA Politics. Stripped a kid from his MSG moment. Hilarious stuff. I have no idea what you're talking about. I apologize. Kev, if you want to put something in the chat to inform me. Yeah, I don't know. I think JC won the spot over Jose. Offense just isn't there. I agree with you that the offense hasn't been there. I think he's just... It's his individual offense, and I don't think he's running the offense as well as you need. And I think defensively, he's been a little underwhelming. Like, I'm not saying he's been he still does stuff out there that helps you, and he has had some incredibly impactful games. But night in and night out, you don't feel him as much as I think you thought you would feel. I don't feel him as much as I thought we would feel him as fans. And I'm not just talking about because he hasn't gotten any of the Grand Theft Alvarado steals. Like, those were always few and far between for as much attention as they got. It's not about that. It's for a guy like that to really earn real playing time, you have to know he's been in the game. And I feel like there's been too many games where he just has not had that impact. So yeah. Thanks, Hush. Kevin Anishevsky, what's going on, sir? How are you? I hope you are well. By the way, Cleveland just beat Orlando, giving Orlando their 6th straight loss. Is that right? I think that is right. Yeah, that is their 6th straight loss. My goodness. Not ideal if you're the Magic. And Cleveland keeps knocking on the door of I guess maybe trying to snatch the 3 seed, but I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, I should have mentioned we're tied for 2nd. So yeah, congratulations to the Knicks. Hopefully Boston loses to OKC tomorrow. Anyway, I'm ignoring Kevin's comment. Sorry, Kevin. The Pels could be 4 or 5 seed in declining West with health next year. Again, you're drinking the Pels Kool-Aid. I'll bet you already owe me, I think, 2 beverages. I'll bet you a 3rd beverage. How about we set the over-under on you tell me what you want to set the over-under on. I'll set it. Can we do 8.5? Since you're saying 4 or 5 seed. Let's set it at 8.5, and I'll take the under. I'll take 9 or lower, because I don't. OKC, San Antonio, LA, Denver, Minnesota, Houston. I don't think any of those teams are going anywhere. And then could they be the 7th seed? I don't know if I could say that. It's a little too aggressive for me. Not nuts though. They don't have a first. And they don't have cap space either. I think I have more faith in Phoenix than you. And I got to think, I don't know what's going to happen with the Clippers. I mean, who the hell knows? Kawhi Leonard, God knows. But, I'll still take the, I think 8.5 is, I wouldn't set it any lower than that. I think it should probably be 7.5, but I'll do 8.5 and I'll take the under. Anyway, weird not to close with Kat, in my opinion, but it worked. Can't wait till we can close with Mitch. Otherworldly right now. Yeah, again, I think what Brown did tonight is, he opened himself up to criticism. I will just say, and I didn't mention this explicitly at the top of the show, but I guess I was kind of implying it. Because to me, it wasn't about that, like, Cat was bad defensively or they couldn't have Cat on the floor. But I did think against that offense where everybody could put the ball on the floor, everybody's a threat, the speed they had out there, the shooting they had out there, I thought to have both Cat and Brunson would have been a lot. That's a lot. And I think that's why he made the decision. And again, if we're thinking forward to the playoffs, if it's a tight game late, Brunson's going to be on the floor. Almost certainly. OG is going to be on the floor. But that's even neither here nor there. Brunson's going to be on the floor. If Brunson's on the floor, and it's a team that has been really picking them apart when both JB and Cat, and I'll look up real quick what the defensive rating was tonight for the Knicks with Brunson and Cat both out there. I cannot imagine it was very good. So look, I got it, but the more interesting part to me was that no Mitch. So in any case, here's good news. This team has a lot of optionality. Mike Brown has a lot of choices. So, choices are good. So their defensive rating tonight on the whole was very bad, 126.1. The defensive rating for the starting five was 135.5. And then the defensive rating for Cat and Brunson in particular, he did not have them out there for a ton of minutes together. Only played them together 15 minutes and 4 seconds. So it was the same. So the only time that Brunson and Towns were on the floor together, let me just double check this real quick, because 15:04. Yeah, Brunson and Towns, the only time they were on the floor together was when the starting five was out there together. They did not play another minute tonight together other than when the starting five was together. So I think open the game, close the first half, started the third quarter. I think that's it. And again, not great defensively. So I got it. I understood it. Great offense though. And by the way, the starting five when they were out there for the 15 minutes they were out there, 42 all. So yeah, didn't get outscored. Benny Bills, what's going on, Benny? Brunson is back, baby. You're damn right he is. One might say he never left. Great team win driving from Charleston to Charlotte for the game on my 30th birthday. Oh, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. I'll be cheering to keep the streak alive. # let's go Knicks. That's awesome. I hope they win for you. I am assuming that the Charlotte game is going to be tough. This Charlotte team, I don't know how much of our audience has been paying close attention to them, but they beat the Kings by 44 tonight. They beat the Grizzlies by 23 their last game. They beat the Magic by 19 the previous game before that. They beat the Heat by 30 the game before that. So what did they've won their last 4 games by what's that? 110, 120 points, whatever that is. I mean, they're as legit as you could be. Here's who they've lost to since the All-Star break. They lost their first 2 out of the All-Star break to Houston and Cleveland. After that, they won 6 in a row, including a win at Boston. Big win at Boston. Then they lost to Miami and at Phoenix back-to-back. Then they beat up on Portland and Sacramento, lost to San Antonio, and now these 4 straight wins, Miami, Orlando, Memphis, Sacramento. So, they haven't beaten a top team other than Boston, if you want to say. And I remember that Boston game. I think Boston shot like shit that game. They only scored 89 points. This is you could say this is the Knicks' best test since they weren't right for those LA games. So I think you could say this is their best test. Really, like they'll be geared up for this one. Like they were geared up for that game in Denver, and certainly against OKC as well. And I think the LA games were just kind of a letdown. They better be geared up for this one. I'll just say that. Anyway, happy early 30th birthday. My life started at 30, and hopefully the best is yet to come for you. All right, let's do our stat of the game. Stat of the game tonight, courtesy of our guy, Jonah Kaufman. 7. You know, I was going to mention this, and I forgot, and good job by you pointing it out. 7 players in double figures, all 5 starters plus Clarkson and Mitch. Brunson, 32 points, his most since February 19th. That's crazy. It's the most points he scored in over a month. My God. McCall back-to-back double-digit outings, first time in 3 weeks. That's great. And then Clarkson, 8 or more points in every game since he returned to the rotation in Utah. That's awesome. And then this is my favorite. Mitch, double figures in back-to-back games for only the second time in the last 3 seasons. You know what? You got a guy that could jump like that and catch passes at above the rim in midair like that. He should be scoring double digits, a couple times a week. So great job by them exploiting Mitch. Great job by Mitch. Great job by his teammates finding him. Great stat from you, Jonah. And then for the play that put me in the mood tonight, what are we going to do? We go to mood. What put me in the mood tonight? I mentioned the passing, the play where they went Brunson to OG to Clarkson to Mitch for the lob. That's probably my answer that I want to give. Brunson had a really nice dime through the defense to a cutting Clarkson to give the Knicks back the lead after they had lost the lead for most of the third quarter. That was really good too. No, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do OG's steal of Zion and then block of Zion within like 3 minutes of each other. That put me in the mood as retribution for Kevin Knox. Shout out to Kevin, wherever you are. If you would like to be put in the mood too with functional gummies that are exactly what you are looking for as opposed to just some old generic stuff, go to mood.com, use code KFS, and get 20% off your first order. Again, mood.com, find your perfect mood, use code KFS. Okay. Let us go down the home stretch. KBN, what's going on? No, I can't wait to see where KBN's going today. Filipino American Jordan Clarkson stepped up today. He's been such a great teammate, just like another Filipino American legend, Lou Diamond Phillips in Young Guns. I've never seen Young Guns. It's a blind spot for me. I think the only Lou Diamond Phillips movie that I saw that I have seen. I think he was a teacher, unless I'm confusing it with something else. Hold on. I think I might be confusing this with something. I do not have my Lou Diamond Phillips filmography is not what you want. Oh, I think was this it? Stand and Deliver? Yes, Stand and Deliver. I think Stand and Deliver might literally be the only Lou Diamond Phillips starring movie that I've ever seen. I haven't seen Courage Under Fire. That's a bad job by me. Yeah, I don't know what else he's really known for. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen Young Guns. I've not seen La Bamba. Yeah, I gotta catch up on my Lou Diamond Phillips stuff. Thanks, Kabian. Hush with another one. JC's defensive turnaround has been absurd. I love it. Yeah. I mean, you wonder what changed, because this is like, as far as like in-season defensive turnarounds go, this feels like almost unprecedented. I can't really remember anything else like it. And I would be curious if, because he seems like a pretty introspective guy. I wonder if he would actually say anything about, like, has his mentality changed? Did he realize, like, oh, I need to give more than I was giving earlier if I want to get minutes on this team because of what they need from me? We already have, they already have two, quote unquote defensive liabilities. So whatever it is, good job. Good job by him. Just checking to see if there's any notable quotes. Mike, here's one. Deuce McBride progressed to scrimmaging in his rehab from sports hernia surgery. So that's good. And then we have a Mike Brown quote on Karl Anthony Towns. Shout out to SNY. I had to adjust to him as well. That's what a season's about. I had to make some adjustments to figure out how I could get him involved a little bit better, get him to feel a little bit more comfortable. Well, good job by you, Mike. Okay. All good stuff. Oscar, what's going on, man? Got the Boston game tickets. Love Cat tonight, and JB is JB. Nice. Glad you got the Boston tickets. Hopefully that night is a good one. Hopefully they seal the 2 seed that night. And I'm glad you liked Cat tonight. I thought it was a good Cat game. I don't know that I would say it was my favorite Cat game of the last however many weeks, but I think it was a good Cat game. Thanks, Oscar. I am AK Legend. What's going on? Since January 20th, number 1 in net rating and second best record. Let's go Knicks. You don't even have to start it at January 20th. You could start it January 19th. You could actually start it the day of the MLK disaster. But yeah, they've been the best net rating team for well more than a third of the NBA season. Best defense for more than a third of the NBA season. The defensive rating will go down a little bit tonight, unfortunately, but hopefully they are still top 5 in both. I have because the Heat got knocked down a few pegs with their defensive performance against the Spurs last night. Yeah, defensive ratings haven't updated yet, so we'll see how far the Knicks slip, if at all. Thanks, IMAK. Spence from the West. What's going on, Spence? Not to overreact to a win over the Pelicans, but that was maybe the most coherent we've looked all year. Everyone looked comfortable in their role, including the starting lineup. I think you're glossing over some games where they've looked really good at times. They've had some really high quality performances, really high quality wins. I'll give you this. In terms of their top 4, Brunson, Cat, OG, and McCall, all having good games, you could probably count on like 2 hands the number of times this season where all 4 of those guys have had good offensive performances in the same game. I think of the 4, Brunson was the only one who had like a great offensive performance, and it was only because of the fourth quarter. I thought OG was very good. I thought Cat was good by his standards. He was good. I thought McCall was good, offensively. But listen, this is progress, right? All 4 of them to have from good to very good games. That's good, I look. It was great to see, and in particular, I think it was nice to see I'll say this also. I think the starters offensively, there was a connection and a cohesion to how they were playing on offense together with those 5. That is as good as anything that we have seen in, it feels like, a very long time. I I don't want to get too nuts about it because this Pelicans defense, especially this Pelicans starting defense, is not good. Even though I understand they do have Herb Jones out there, and Herb Jones is an All NBA or all defense caliber defender. But they don't have any other. He's probably the only plus defender they have on that starting five. So yeah, don't want to overreact too much, but it was good to see. Thanks, Spence. Jason, what's going on, Jason? How you doing, man? Best the starting five has looked in a long time. Took the words out of my mouth. Guarding Hart makes a difference. Need to see this level of execution when they leave Hart open as well. Yeah, they were paying respect to Hart. I thought, it's interesting. Like, we've paid so much attention over the last 2 years to what do they do, when they're loading up off of Hart. I thought tonight it was more just loading up on Brunson with the second defender coming from some different places. And I thought the Knicks did pretty well to handle those scenarios. And I think Hart was a part of that. Now, how many turnovers did Hart have? He only had one turnover, so that's good. Because him being that outlet sometimes I think is a positive. Man, there's a basketball game starting right now. 11 p.m. Eastern Conference start on a Tuesday night. I knew this, and yet I had forgotten it. Nuggets Suns. Anyway. Good stuff, Jason. Appreciate you, man. Sam Roth, what's going on? Hey, Macri, can you name some of your favorite Knicks veteran guards over the years, i.e. Pablo Prigioni, I'm assuming you mean Derrick Rose, Jared Jack, Campaign, Clarkson, etc. KFS, I can't say the name of our own freaking media company, gets me through sleepless nights with my 2-month-old son. Thanks. Shout out to you. Congratulations. It gets easier. I promise it gets easier. And it will actually get a lot of fun before too long. My favorite veteran guards since I've been a fan. Well, I mean, the first name that comes to my mind, no, hold on. Your favorite veteran guards, you didn't specify off the bench. So the first name I'm going to say is Derek Harper. Love Derek Harper. We'll never forget Derek Harper in the 94 finals. I think he would have been finals MVP if they were there. He wouldn't have been finals MVP. I think he would have deserved to be finals MVP had they won that series. So that's the first guy that I will mention. I thought, I was always a Charlie Ward guy just because I thought he got a little too much shit. And I always appreciated what he brought to the table. So I'll shout out, Charlie Ward. I mean, Prigioni, that's an obvious one. Everybody loved Prigioni, though. I always had a soft spot for the starting backcourt of the 12-13 team. I think I always appreciated what Kidd. I think Kidd made such a difference on that team. And then Felton, obviously multiple stints with the Knicks. Like, I really like he didn't have a actual all-star case in 2010-11 season before he got traded in the Melo trade, but you had to mention his name, and I appreciated that. And then recently, look, Jared Jack. Just the whole why is Jared Jack playing over Frank Ntilikina was so annoying, that whole thing. So I don't know about that. And then, the Derrick Rose, that Derrick Rose run where he finished third and sixth man of the year voting for the We Here season, where he was, he had an argument for being the Knicks' best player after he got traded here. And that's with Julius Randle playing at an all-NBA level. I would say, in the spirit of your question, I would probably have to put Rose first on the list. I love Cameron Payne. I love what Cameron Payne did. I was obviously always an Alec Burks fan, loved Alec Burks. I'm trying to think like someone off the beaten path. I mean, he's not a point guard, but like I loved Reggie Bullock when he was here. I thought Reggie Bullock was a really good Knick. I always remember his contributions to the We Here team. That's a positive. The team wasn't good when he was here, but I appreciated Courtney Lee. I thought Courtney Lee was a good Knick. I feel like there's got to be someone that I'm not like thinking of. I'm trying to give you. I want to give you like one more like half decent answer here. Yeah, I mentioned Jason. Oh, Kev says Baron Davis. I don't really care about Baron Davis that much. Let me look here. Remember Brandon Jennings? Brandon Jennings was a Knick. That was fun. Yes, Baron Davis did sacrifice his knees for us. This is true. Didn't really have a relationship to Greg Anthony as a Knick or Hubert Davis. I saw Hubert Davis is out at UNC. Oh, you know who I'll shout out? Okay, I'll shout out this guy. Trey Burke. Trey Burke, look, that was not a great time for the franchise, but Trey Burke gave us like some real moments here. And I will never forget the game that he had against Charlotte, right, Kev? With the duel with Kemba Walker. I want to pull up his game log right now. It was the 2018-19 season, so it was the season where they did not, where they win 17 games. No, it wasn't that. No, hold on. I must be. Hang on. Maybe I'm thinking of a different. No, he was only here for one. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, he was here for parts of 2 seasons. The game I'm thinking of was during, I think, the 2017-18 season. Yes, it was at Charlotte. It was an overtime loss. He scored 42 at 42 and 12, and Kemba went for 50. No, Kemba went for 31. Why did I think Kemba went? Maybe Kemba had some big shots down the stretch. Maybe that's what it was. Man, how about this starting lineup for the Hornets that night? Kemba Walker, Dwight Howard, Marvin Williams, Nick Batum, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Dwayne Bacon off the bench. Remember Dwayne Bacon? I think he was a Knick for a hot minute. Frank Kaminsky and Willie Hernan Gomez. Malik Monk. Remember when Malik Monk was on the freaking Hornets? They drafted him. I almost forgot that. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay. Great stuff, Sam. Thanks for that question. That was good. What do we got next? Oh, defensive player of the game. OG. Listen, you block Zion. You get a steal on Zion. You get all the defensive player of the game love that there is. So shout out to him. Good picture like that. Hope he's happy. I think he's now once again tied for the team lead with Mitch, I believe. So, yeah, pretty sure. So, congrats to OG. Be interesting to see who gets the most between those two guys. All right, now we're going to finish up. Mark, what are you doing, Mark? You're so silly. Shout out to my brother, my friend, Mike Sinclair, on his birthday. Shout out to you, Mike. What's going on, man? Him and his family were my Knicks fandom origin story as a kid. Forever grateful. Psyched that JB and the crew gave him a show. Happy birthday, bro. Well, that's very nice of you, Mark. Mark, next time, if you want me to shout out someone on the show, you could just send me a text. I'll be happy to do it. But that was very kind of you. True Genius. What's going on, True Genius? It's starting to feel like Tibbs crawled and walked so Brown could run and eventually fly. Nah, look, Tibbs... Always give him all the credit in the world for laying the groundwork for this team in a lot of ways. Mike Brown should get all of the credit for everything this team is this season and everything they've done. You know, we've spent a lot of time obviously talking about Tibbs. Did he deserve to be fired? Did he not deserve to be fired? How much was his fault? How much wasn't his fault? Spent a lot of time talking about the front office and the wisdom of, you know, firing a coach without having maybe a clear idea of who would come next and, the timing of it and the process and yada, yada, yada. I don't think we have spent enough time talking about how difficult of a situation Mike Brown walked into. And I think the reason for it is because we focused on some of the players that clearly wanted a new head coach. And, we don't have to go through who those players were, but we definitely knew that there were some important players on the roster who were not sad to see Tibbs go. But, he also walked into a situation where the two best players on the team, one of them obviously loved Tibbs. Kat was a fan of Tibbs. Go back and listen to the Bondi pod that I did earlier this year. And other guys on the roster too were fans of Tibbs, not just Hart either. So tough situation, facing pressure from upstairs, and you got to be collaborative with the front office, but also you don't want to, you got to have the respect of your players. They can't think that you're just like a stooge there, plant from the front office, and really tough situation that Mike Brown walked into. And I don't think he's going to get any votes for Coach of the Year. And I'm not even saying that he necessarily should, but really, really tough spot he was in. And he's right now got his team with the fourth most wins in basketball, so it's pretty good if you ask me. Thanks, True Genius. Use Spree. Why not us? Why not us? Consistency. And when I say consistency, I don't just mean what version of the Knicks is going to show up. I mean, can the Knicks be the best version of themselves when teams really put the screws to them and try to take it? What do the Knicks do when they get hit in the mouth? Because the playoffs is all about getting hit in the mouth and responding. We know they're tough. We know they will not get defeated mentally. We know that they have players who will rise in big spots and never give in and hit tough shots and the whole thing. But I wish I had a little bit more faith in that I knew how they were going to look. I knew it's not about whether they would respond. I know they will always find a way to respond, but it just feels like they don't, and again, we're this conversation, why not us? You're talking about why not us over the Thunder, or why not us over, really it's the Thunder, because the Knicks should not be below anybody else. They should not be below the Spurs. They should not be below the Pistons. Honestly, they shouldn't even be below the Celtics at this point. And all of those teams have different issues. The Spurs, it's youth, the Nuggets, it's defense. The Celtics, I think it's, integrating Tatum and is there enough talent there with Tatum being whatever he is right now? With the Knicks, it's this. This is the thing with the Knicks. It's when they get hit in the mouth, can they still lean into the stuff that makes them successful? Will they still lean into the stuff that makes them successful? And we'll find out. We'll find out very soon, because playoffs start in less than a month, I think, something like that. So yeah. Thanks, you Spree. Good question. Danishevsky with another one. Knicks clinch the playoffs with the Orlando loss. I did not realize that. Thank you, Kevin. In addition to the starting lineup, I would go Mitch, Deuce, Clarkson, and Mo for 5 minutes for playoff rotation. Shamit, Jose, can earn it again, though. Yeah, I give me Shamet over Mo, and it's not that I don't like Mo. I think Mo, I've done this speech before. I'm not going to do it again. Shamet's in my playoff rotation. Just he's got to be. He's earned it. Thanks, Kev. Hush with another one. NBA politics taking out a scorching fears for vets. Oh, okay, I got you. That's the kid that you met. All right, that makes sense. Well, happy they did. Jessica, hey, great to see you, Jessica. I hope you've been well. Fun game. Hashtag Let's Go Knicks. Also, shout out to Nebraska Cornhusker men's basketball getting their first and second ever NCAA wins in their history. I did not know that. Go Huskers, go Big Red. Yeah, congratulations to them. Congratulations to everybody who made this Sweet 16. What are we back? What's today? There's games, no games tomorrow. Thursday, right? They get started again Thursday. Exciting stuff. Thanks, Jess. That's it. We're good. Thank you, Kev. All right. Thanks, everybody, for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. If you dig what we do here, help us out. Leave a 5-star rating. Give us a kind review. Follow, subscribe, social media at Knicks Film School, SKOOL. Don't forget what I said earlier. If you've been one of our winners for our best bets, Fanatics $100 in fan cash giveaway, which again, giving away $100 in fan cash every rest of the regular season, every game of the rest of the regular season. Tweet at us. Let us know that you won. What else? I will be back. Watch along Thursday. Hornets game. Watch along. Doing some show tomorrow night. Pretty sure. I think it's going to be Benji and maybe Andrew. Still solidifying that, but there'll be something on tomorrow because there's always something. I'm pretty sure Andrew's doing Hornets pregame pod. So lots of good stuff coming up. And yeah, that's it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. Peace out.